Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Ini adalah taklimat ICM658 Capstone. Okey, course code ICM658 8 jam kredit. Okey, apa itu Capstone Capstone is a culminating academic assignment typically completed in the final year of a student's program. So it is designed to demonstrate a student's mastery of the subject they have been studying by applying their knowledge and skills to a real world problem or project. So whatever you have learned from your first year, first semester until end of semester, until now, okay, you have to apply and solve the real world problem. Okay, right. So capstone project consists of the following. Practical, you have to develop software lah, right? Develop software which is web-based and mobile apps. Okay, and then it is problem solving oriented. You cannot create project out of thin air. It must be based on the real world problem. The problem is either around you or in your organization where you do your internship. Okay, and then it must be interdisciplinary, which combine knowledge from different subject and courses. You cannot, my project is database but cannot do that. Okay, or let's say I do just documentation. No, cannot. Must combine multidisciplinary. Okay, and then it must be cumulative. Draws on everything you have learned in your program. Okay, web development, you have learned database, you have the mobile application, you have learned metadata, content management, and so on. Okay, alright. So what is the element? You have proposal. Proposal is basically your plan. Plan that outline your topic, what is your goals, okay, what you want to solve, the objective, and so on. And then you give a good review of the background uh, of your project, okay, and then how you want to solve your problem. Okay, for example, you have one problem, and then how you are going to solve that. Okay, right, and then you execute, and also the final report and presentation. You must submit your final report and present to your academic supervisor. Right, these are example. For example, you want to build app in a library, for example. You want to build an app to assist education, learning, teaching, and learning process. Okay, right, right. These are example in content management. Okay, for example, you want to build a CMS tailored specifically for local business or NGOs. You cannot just take any available CMS, customize and deliver as your capstone. For example, you take WordPress. You cannot do that. Okay, it must be custom. It's made by you. Right. And then you can use any tools that you have learned. You can use PHP, you can use Laravel, you can use Cake PHP. Nowadays is very simple, very easy. Okay, and then right, this is another example in content management. For example, you have content, and then you can integrate also with dashboard, analytics, and so on. Okay, right. So assessment, we have proposal 20%, report and documentation 30%, prototype 40%, presentation 10%. So far still the same unless otherwise. Okay. Kalau ada perubahan saya inform dalam group. Okay, your proposal must be clear and well defined objective. Your objective can use SMART. stand for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant and also time bound. Jangan buat projek sampai 3 tahun kan. Okay, target projek tu 2 bulan, 3 bulan dah siap. Okay. Right. So your proposal must clearly specify your target user and use cases. Okay, you must scope your prototype. For example, let's say you punya projek besar kan, in your internship places, projek dia dapat projek besar, okay, you scope kan projek you buat bahagian ni je, macam tu. Right, but make sure that scope tu include all the requirement lah, web-based, mobile apps and have databases. Right, and then your proposal must explain the system overview and the architecture you want to use. Okay, right, for example you want to using React Native kan, and then Node.js or MongoDB, or you want to use PHP, MySQL, okay, something like that, right? And then explain the development process, which method you want to follow. Okay, and then you can visualize using Gantt chart. Right, and then your proposal also must clearly specify tools and technologies that you will use. Okay, and then what are the evaluation criteria? Okay, how you will test and evaluate your prototype. Okay, you can ask your academic supervisor to test you and give feedback for your prototype. Masalahnya sekarang ni semua buat projek terus submit. Tak ada testing, tak ada feedback and so on. Okay, academic supervisor tengok your project tu, that is the first time they see the project and terus bagi markah. So we don't want that. At least must have feedback few times, 2-3 times, something like that. Okay. Okay, and then reinforce with conclusion and justification. Okay. Alright. And then report and documentation, you must well define the objective and also give detailed system analysis, and including functional requirements and also non-functional requirements. Okay, and then design documentation and also implementation detail, include all the visual tools that can be used in system development. For example, use case diagram, ER diagram, data flow diagram, okay, system architecture and so on. Right. And then report and documentation, also you must describe the testing processes, what are the challenges and solution, and also the recommendation. Okay, apa yang you hiccup that you are facing, and then what are the things that can be extended from your project. Okay, right. So appendices you can include all the source code interface that you have done. User manual, installation guide, semua boleh masukkan. Okay, so documentation ni usually is more than 100 pages. Kan? Easily can go up to 200 pages. Ni kalau buat betul-betul lah. Okay. Ada last sem dapat 8 pages, 12 pages sem-sem sebelum ni. For Capstone, 8 credit hours. So that one is not acceptable. Alright, these are the report structures. Ini kalau tak sampai 200 pages, saya pun tak tahulah. Kan? Appendices saja dah berapa, 80 pages. Right? Because you include all the source code, screenshot and so on. Kan? Okay, and then project prototype must conceive web-based, mobile app and also database. And it must be workable. And the prototype must according to the proposal. Janganlah proposal you suggest buat sistem lain, and then your prototype lain. Order lain, barang sampai lain. Eh? So, I will instruct all the lecturers to fill all those students that give prototype yang other than discussed in the proposal, agreed in the proposal. So you hantar proposal, your academic supervisor argue and so on. Once agreed, barulah benda tu macam ada contract lah, kan? Agree to do this thing, then you do that thing lah, janganlah buat benda lain. So if you do other things other than your proposal, okay, patutnya kena fail lah, kan? Alright. So your report and recommendation also must based on the project prototype. Janganlah just masuk ER diagram apa semua rupa, check balik ER diagram tu tak sama pun dengan you punya prototype. Okay. Right. So suggested tools yang you boleh guna lah, framework yang you boleh guna. You can use PHP, nak pakai Python boleh, nak pakai mobile apps, pakai Flutter Flow pun boleh. Pakailah apa-apa yang boleh buat mobile apps also can. Okay, and then database, okay, you can use more than one databases. Nak senang authentication, pakai Firebase, kan? And then for structured data, you can use MySQL. Okay. Sekarang ni lagi laju, lagi senang pakai MongoDB, ataupun Supabase. And then external data, you can use REST API, kan? Weather data from open data lah, open data, kan? Kalau you buat apps, sebagai contoh apps bencana alam sebagai contoh. Saya tak tahulah kan. Can get the data from the Jabatan Meteorologi kan. Memang ada open data dia. Weather forecasting and so on. Okay, and then do's and don't. These are frequently asked questions every semester, kan? Okay. Use enterprise solution, use real database management system. Do not use component that unsuitable. Orang tak pakai untuk deliver solution. For example, Google Form, Google Sheet, Microsoft Access. Itu nak temporary, nak buat survey, nak tanya siapa nak pergi berkelah, kan? Boleh lah pakai Google Form. Kan? Nak penginapan ke, nak pergi sendiri ke, nak pergi naik bas. Boleh lah. Kan? Tapi for real punya solution, orang tak pakai Google Sheet and so on. Okay? Because they don't have function and features macam the real database punya software. Okay, multi-user access, tak ada security sangat rendah, kan? Dan macam-macam lagi lah. Right. And then jangan ambil projek-projek senior you rebrand je balik, kan? Ambil projek sebelum ni car rental booking system, tukar jadi doctor appointment booking system, booking appointment lah, whatever lah. Perkataan-perkataan booking, perkataan appointment, perkataan ni inventory, kan? Minta supervisor tengok betul-betul proposal. Jangan propose lain, buat lain. Saya pun dah pernah kena lah. Propose gini-gini lah. Saya pun cakap lah, okey tukar macam ni. Tengok sistem yang hantar, rebrand je. Appointment system, booking system, kan? Database sama. Kita ada senarai tajuk-tajuk projek yang sini-sini you all buat. So, you tak payahlah nak ambil tajuk yang sama, rebrand balik, tukar-tukar sikit. So, itu tidak berguna untuk diri you, tidak membawa manfaat. Kan? Biarlah benda susah sekarang, tak apa. Buatlah, kan? Buat betul-betul. InsyaAllah you akan dapat banyak pengalaman, banyak ilmu baru daripada projek Capstone ni. Okay? Right. Okay, and then presentation, masa present nanti pakai smart-smart, elok, and make sure all the things tu baguslah and present in English. Okay. Okay. Soal jawab, ada soalan, tanya dalam WhatsApp. Okay. Ini awak tanya saya private. Kan, soalan yang sama sampai kan 10 orang tanya soalan yang sama. Kalau awak tanya dalam grup, saya reply, semua orang, 65 orang boleh baca. 200 orang boleh baca. Dah menjimatkan masa. Sebab tu kita ada grup. Okay, boleh? Lepas tu jangan tanya kawan, tanya saya. Ha, kan? Kalau awak tanya kawan, kalau tak betul macam mana? So, kawan saya kata macam ni. Kawan saya kata macam ni. Kawan saya kata macam ni. Kawan awak kata, kawan awak ke yang nak bagi markah? Kan? So, ada apa-apa masalah? Tanya saya dan tanya juga you punya academic supervisor. Alright. So, that's all untuk taklimat ni. Okay. I wish you all the best. Skor lah A 8 jam ni. 8 jam. Kan? Skor A. And then Wallahualam. Kan? Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.